With the announcement of the Animal Crossing LEGO collaboration last week, our favorite game has been in the spotlight once more, and I've been seeing so many people wondering if they should finally get back into playing. I've received comments asking me for tips for players who want to start playing New Horizons again, so I thought this would be a good idea given the current excitement about this new collab. So whether you're trying to get back into playing Animal Crossing New Horizons after being away for a long time, or maybe not much time at all, hopefully this video can help you out. And if you've been playing this whole time, maybe there'll still be some tips here that you can find useful. Drop a like on the video though if you think a new update would be the best way to get us all back into playing. Now, I'd have different tips for different people depending on when they last stopped playing. For example, if you left the game before version 2.0 and you've finally come back to it now, there are a ton of things that you have missed. For example, things like the Roost, which is a new building in the museum. We also have Captain's boat rides, a whole ton of quality of life upgrades, so many new items and more. It'd be kind of difficult to recap you on all of this in a single video, so I'm not going to be doing that here, but I think it's fair to say that if you did leave the game maybe say in 2020 or 2021 before this major update dropped in November 2021, then there's a lot of stuff for you to catch up on, and you would actually probably have the easiest time getting back into the game just based on the sheer amount of content that you've missed. Probably the best place to start if you wanted to get caught up on all of the updates Nintendo added to the game would honestly be to go onto their official YouTube channel and search in for the November 2021 Animal Crossing Direct, as that'll give you a full rundown of the 2.0 update and also the Happier in Paradise DLC if you wanted to purchase that. But I'm not going to go too in depth on that here. I recommend just watching the video as I really don't want to overwhelm anyone. But yeah, this advice is of course specific to those of you who stopped playing the game before the 2.0 update dropped, which I imagine is honestly quite a lot of people, but maybe people who are finding this video now might have also just stopped playing more recently. So this next tip is for those of you who stopped playing the game at some point after version 2.0. You likely stopped playing because updates stopped and you just ran out of new things to do, and this is kind of a tricky thing to get around. Honestly, it's really hard to give advice to people who really just enjoyed the updates of the game. I totally understand it because they were so much fun, but unfortunately, as we know, updates will not be happening anymore really at any point, which is very disappointing, but it's something that we just kind of have to deal with. So really, we have to try and find our own ways of having fun in the game now without any new content expected. One major way of doing this, of course, could be starting up a new island. A lot of people turn to restarting when they want to get back into the game, especially if they've had an island for a long time and they just can't find anything to do on it anymore, which is definitely understandable if you've been playing the game for a long time. I decided to get myself a second Switch in order so I could make a new island, as I really didn't want to get rid of my main island that I've had for so many years. However, this isn't an option for everyone of course, so many might have to actually just completely erase their island if they do want to start up a new one. I would definitely consider the pros and the cons of doing this before you make a decision. Definitely don't be too rash with it because I have heard of a lot of players who have restarted their island a little bit prematurely and then they just didn't feel like playing at all and lost their main island, so they were kind of back to square one. Or I guess even in a worse position than square one as you don't have your island anymore. Some players might find they just want to enjoy New Horizons again for a little bit of time rather than fully coming back, so if that's you, then probably restarting your island from scratch isn't a good idea. I'd instead maybe do something like flattening it. If you didn't know, flattening your island is basically using your terraforming tools so you can just make your island completely flat and blank, so you can start designing it from scratch again. Whilst this can be a very tedious process, at least you don't lose all of your progress in the game. And hey, you might enjoy just designing things again rather than going through every single step from the very start. I definitely think there are pros and cons to both, and I have actually made a video discussing whether you should restart or whether you should flatten your island, so maybe that is something you could watch if you are considering it. But yeah, these are usually some of the first decisions people would make when deciding to come back into New Horizons. But there are plenty of other tips as well which could help you get back into playing. For example, setting yourself specific goals. Maybe you could have the goal to make sure you do all of your dailies every single day. If you didn't know, dailies is things like digging up all of the fossils, the gyroids around your island, making sure all of your flowers are watered and going for hybrids, checking through each of the shop's inventories and getting a bunch of different items and such to collect. Just the general things that kind of feel like chores in a way, but are fun because they're in Animal Crossing. If this is something you stick to each and every day and it sort of becomes a routine for you, then I tend to find this can be a really great way of enjoying playing the game again. It gives you a new purpose. Other people who want something a little bit more exciting though might decide to set a goal to design something. Maybe you want to clear a certain part of your island that you never liked and start from scratch. You could design something totally new. Maybe you could even go on YouTube or somewhere like Pinterest and get some inspiration for what type of area you want to design, as at this point in the game's lifespan, it being over 3 years old, there are so many guides and pieces of inspiration online that you could draw from, which could be really helpful. I tend to find that people who like to design can find it very easy to return to New Horizons because there are lots and lots of options for this. If you don't enjoy designing so much, then it might be a little bit more difficult because it is such an essential part of the game. That's not to say that I don't think you can enjoy playing the game without designing though, that's definitely not the case, but I do think potentially if you can set some sort of designing goal for yourself, if that's something you'd like to do, you'll probably have a lot of fun creating something quite expansive. Now, I did mention the Happier in Paradise DLC earlier on, and I tend to find that this is also something that a lot of people quote as being a reason that they've gotten back into playing the game. After all, the DLC does have a fair amount of content to it, and it's a little bit different from the usual routines and such that you come to expect just playing through the island. I've seen some people say they're going for the goal of trying to design every single house and actually putting effort into each one, which I think could be a really fun idea for getting back into New Horizons, especially if you left before the version 2.0 update and you never experienced this at all. Then trust me, you should definitely get Happier in Paradise because it'll give you so much more content to play through and just something really exciting to look forward to each day. The thing about Happier in Paradise as well is it isn't set in kind of real time like the rest of New Horizons is, so you don't have to feel guilty if you take little breaks from it, and you can just do it at whatever pace you can. I believe you can just design as many homes as you want each day, although I might be wrong on this, but even if you can't, then it's still quite a fair amount, or you could just time travel to do more if you need to. So yeah, Happier in Paradise could be a really good idea for getting back into New Horizons. I definitely think there are lots of ways of getting back into Animal Crossing in 2023. The thing that I do the most, honestly, is actually just watching Animal Crossing YouTube videos. It gets me nostalgic and excited to play again. I like to watch videos of the game as I play myself, so that might be a helpful tip for you as well from me. But I'd love for you to leave your tips for other players down in the comment section below. What have you done to get back into playing Animal Crossing? If you made it to the end of the video, then be sure to comment Bob's Gang so I know that you did. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, then consider subscribing and turning on channel notifications for more Animal Crossing videos.